I'm so happy to be talking to the fabulously talented Hayley Jensen. Welcome, Hayley. Great to see you.
Oh, thank you, Sophie. So great to be chatting with you and to see you in person and have a real life conversation. It's great.
Yes, because I did interview you years ago, but it was on the phone, and so it is much nicer face to
Yeah.
face. And I'm going to start
Yes.
by saying congratulations on your Golden Guitar nomination for Female Artist of the Year. I wanted to word that correctly. It must be really satisfying to have that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. Completely blown away. My first ever Golden Guitar nomination. And yeah, I couldn't really be prouder. It's like, it's been such a crazy couple of years and so many roadblocks. But I guess, for me, I've just kept releasing music and trying to release the best music that I can. So I guess to be nominated at this time is pretty bloody awesome, if I can say.
You put out a pretty bloody awesome album. I think that's a big
Thank
part of
you.
it. So that album, Breaking Hearts, was #1 on the RA country charts, and I'm sure it was charting all over the place. That's just the one that I know about. I know you delayed the release due to the pandemic, but clearly that delay did not hurt that album when it went to #1.
Yeah, I did have to delay it once, which was already sad because it had been, I think, on pre-order for a couple of months at that point. So it was already like, come on, let's get this thing out. And then with having to delay the tour, usually what you'll do is you'll put your tour and your album together so that all of those sales together from the pre-orders and the tour kind of combine so that you get that great result, and that's kind of, I guess, the best chance for an album to do as well as it can.
Mm-hmm.
So without the live shows, I just thought, what on earth am I going to do? I mean, it's great to have the pre-order period, but when people want to come and see you live and they want to get it from you, get the CD out of your hand, and so it was just absolutely crazy to have to do that. But I guess people understood and rallied behind, and that was really, really amazing. And so, yeah, I did have to delay it again until I rescheduled the tour again, until we had to reschedule the tour again. And then I thought, you know what, I'm not going to delay the album again. I'm just going to go for it. And so I came up with this kind of online launch idea, which was really fun, and basically spent every day and night programming web pages and filming
Wow.
videos and making all this sort of behind the scenes content, and creating this kind of world inside my website where I could, I called it Heartbreak Hotel, and every day I would launch a new song to people on my email list. They signed up, checked into Heartbreak Hotel, and every day they would sort of get the key to open another room, and in that room would be the song and the instrumental or a demo track or a karaoke version or and all the lyrics and behind the scenes video, what the song was about. And I got the band to all in their own homes film their little bits and worked out how to use Premiere Rush like that and put it together. It was a whirlwind, dive in the deep end and kind of promise things and then try to work out how to deliver the moment. But I'm so glad I did it, because without that, I'm not sure if the album would have had the impact that it did, because and I think now too, people sort of got to hear the album before it was released and hear the songs and what they were all about. And I feel like now there's people kind of celebrating the songs with me as much as I'm like, I love this song, and they're like, we love it too, because they sort of got the whole message and story behind it. So I feel like it's helped people fall in love with my music, more than what they would have if I just said, here's the album and here's another single and here's another single.
Yeah.
Made it a bit more fun.
Well, and you now have all these skills, of course, extra skills, but I suppose it's part of being an artist these days, and certainly over the past couple of years, is having to think about different ways to get your music out there, even if
Yeah.
it means becoming a programmer and learning different software.
I tell you what, I did used to work for an IT consulting company implementing massive like banking systems, and so I know a little bit about kind of, like some of the back end stuff, and I could test things because I knew that whole process of testing, and my husband's in IT, so he was involved in testing, and it was like this big, actually he was working from home at the time as well, and so in his lunch break he was converting videos, he was created servers in the cloud to convert videos into different formats and send them back to me. It was really quite, I can't believe we did it, but to be honest, because there was just so much involved, but it was worth every second, and just to hear people how much they, you know, loved the album and the whole experience, it made it, so much more worthwhile. But it's
maybe
it was a bit more.
Maybe you should start licensing it, because you know you've got that whole thing. Like, I think there's something in there.
I'm like, I need a break, and then I can think about when am I going to do the next one, and can I help other people with doing this, which is something that I do a little bit of kind of artist coaching and artist development coaching on the side of what I do as well during the week, which is really satisfying and rewarding. Mm-hmm. So part of that is kind of helping people to come up with these harebrained ideas as well.
Well, that one certainly work. And I think also on the line of you doing things a little bit differently, two of the videos for the songs on this album, which was the title track and Just Gonna Party, are animated. And so I was wondering if you have a particular love for animation, or you just thought, let's try something different.
Yeah, well, it was really just let's try something different because we were in lockdown for for one of them, and I think we were almost just sort of coming out of lockdown with Just Gonna Party, but we'd been in lockdown, and it takes ages to kind of come up with these concepts, and everyone was a bit offline, and it was kind of like, okay, so that was a whole interesting experience as well, because I guess when you think about coming up with a story for a music video, usually it's like, oh, we'll get these actors and you know, this is kind of the scene that will play out, but you can't really get too crazy with it because it has to be practical to actually do. You know, you might want to, you know, have a gunfight in the middle of a Wild Wild West scene, but where do I find that in Sydney? So I guess with the whole animation idea, it allowed me to just kind of, you know, spiral off into all sorts of ideas and explore things that you wouldn't get to do in real life. And so that was really, really fun. And I guess coming up with kind of the story that would go along with the song and really tell it. And I mean, and what we essentially did was each line of the song and timing of the song, I had a spreadsheet and I'd have the line of the song and the timing, and then I'd get photos or images of things that like represented what I wanted to happen in that scene, and they would be in each cell. So the massive spreadsheet of every second of the song with like little images just to give the animators like, this is the kind of idea that I want. I want a boot with the spur, and I want the spur to be red, and I want the, you know. So it was pretty awesome to be able to kind of go through that process with the first one with Breakin Hearts. That was working actually with an animation company in the Ukraine. So that had whole different challenges of time zones and language barriers and all that. But they were fantastic, and I'm so glad with how that turned out, because it's just really different to anything I've seen out there. And then with Just Gonna Party, I worked with an awesome animator that actually worked on all the Hanna-Barbera shows, so the Jetsons and the Flintstones and a whole bunch of others, who was just absolutely, you know, I would come up with one idea and he'd be like, and how about this, and I was like, yes! So that was really collaborative and awesome. And he would just send me back this little snippet of a video, and he incorporated my band members into the video, which they love, seeing themselves as animated characters as well. And with that one, we could do an alien invasion and whatever we wanted. So that was really, really, really fun to do. You know, just something different than your typical video shoot, and allows you to just explore and tell the story of the song in a different way and bring people along. So yeah.
And again, another skill set for you, because conceptualizing animation that's something really amazing to be able to do, because it's it's one thing to be a singer. That's a particular way of seeing the world and experiencing the world, but visually that skill's not necessarily there. So
Yeah.
and obviously you enjoyed it, so perhaps there's more to come.
Oh, look, it was so much fun. I mean, there's only probably so many animated videos you could do, and my team were all like, "You sure you want to do two?" It wasn't quite back to back, but almost. And I was like, "What am I going to do? I'll have to just sit here in my lounge room and record something." And my husband to pull the camera out again. It's like, we've got to do something interesting. So I'm really glad that we got that chance. And as you say, it was such a fun experience just pulling it all together. And I could, if I could draw, it would have been even better to be able to draw it. But I'm terrible. I can't even draw stick figures. I'd be like, is that stick figure hacking someone? No, they're shaking hands.
Well, but obviously your instructions worked. So there you go. And I think it's, it is appropriate to have a suite of different ways to present the songs on this album, because it's such a strong album, and so much of the power on that album is your voice. So I think it's, in listening to it, I thought, look, the songs are great. Really, Hayley could sing anything and I'd be interested. But some of the songs are, you could tell you had to draw on a lot of emotion and power in the studio. And I'm wondering, take after take, what that's like, having to find that again. Does it wear you out?
I actually recorded them right here in this space.
Oh, wow.
That's my cupboard behind there with all of my dresses and jewelry and shoes and things in it. And it's lined with foam on the sides. And I literally just had I put foam on all my walls because we were in lockdown, and it was literally, my producer was in Canada, and it was like, I could have, but we couldn't get to a studio. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to learn Logic Pro. And I was really busy during lockdown. So I had done a little course in it, like beginner's course. And so I learned how to do it. And I literally just recorded my own vocal takes here. I had my iPad with Logic Pro app on it, and you can kind of trigger the recording and cycles and stuff from the iPad so that I didn't have to keep going back to my computer. Not that it's far to go, but and it was, it was like, I always get the feedback, and I've always had feedback from people that when we see you live, we love your voice, and your recordings are great too, but it's sort of, it feels like there's something missing between that and that. And I've never really known how to bridge that gap, because it's like, well, it's the same voice. I'm trying to emulate what I do in the studio live, so that's kind of weird that it's sort of but I think being actually able to record these songs in my own space, where I wrote them here, I recorded them here, was a real gift, because I could just do them as many times as I wanted. I could do them in my pajamas. I could do them naked. I could do them, when I just got home from a sweaty gym session and go, I've got this idea, just quick, turn it on, boom, get the take. I could do it 100 times and go, I hate all of them, delete. I'm coming back to it this afternoon. And it's the only, it's my time that I'm wasting, or, to explore different, and I could explore different things without feeling, it's awkward sometimes when you're in a studio and there's a producer sitting there that's been working with the best of the best, and you're like, oh, here's me just kind of doing my vocal take. It doesn't matter how many times people say that sounds great or whatever, you're self-conscious, and you're watching the clock, and you know that they are, and it's like they've got another person coming in an hour, and you got to get these takes done. Whereas I think having that freedom and ability to just kind of do it myself and take as much time as I wanted to, and do as many takes as I wanted, and save or delete them, start again. And that happens many, many times, because I'd listen back and I'd just go, you're not, tell that story. You got to tell that story and connect with. And so I'll close my eyes and imagine that I was actually singing to a live audience, trying to really, really communicate that. And I think that kind of made a bit of the difference with this record, because I was not just standing in a studio trying to like sing a line that's on a sheet of paper. I was really trying to connect with that lyric and with whoever would listen to it, when it was finally made. And so yeah, It's awesome to how it all came together, and it did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it so works. So I was sitting here thinking, I wonder if it was the element of being unwatched that set you free. But of course, you are watched when you're performing live. So what you said about singing to the audience, that's more what it's about, feeling that connection, because you can hear it. It does feel like you're singing to the listener, which doesn't always happen, even with experienced artists. And I think it's just setting an intention, as you did.
Yes, exactly. That was exactly right. Every time I pressed record, I was like, now, this isn't just a recording for recording's sake. Somebody's going to listen to this, and what is it that you want them to feel from this song or take away? Get that through. And it's, you get told it all, just be more expressive, use your emotions, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, until you really connect with that within yourself, I think, as well. It's not as easy to do, but
because those emotions are strong, and I mean, you're documenting emotions and experiences in those songs. So I think so much of what the audience looks for, particularly in this genre of music, is authenticity. And obviously you gave yourself the freedom to be authentic about what you were feeling from the writing of those songs through to the performance. And so just a comment more than a question. But speaking of this genre of music, country music, now you grew up listening to country music. Which artists in particular?
Oh, look, I grew up listening to all music, really. I loved all music. Music was a huge part of our home. My mum sang quite a bit, around the house, and my dad as well. We just always had music on. Always, always, always. Like, whether it was video hits or rage, or we'd tape it and then play it again later, the records that were playing. And it was just always, and sing-alongs were just we've just always had sing-alongs. So the music that was playing in my house when I was growing up was the Eagles. It was, Fleetwood Mac. It was all those kind of real singer-songwriter-y kind of artists, beautiful harmonies, beautiful melodies. And I actually kind of feel like I may have learnt to harmonize before I even learnt to sing a melody, because it was just singing along with something, but I don't know. When I was younger, I loved more pop music. I got into the Roxettes. I think Roxette and Cyndi Lauper were kind of my first foray into, like, I want to be a pop star. And I guess as I kind of started to explore my voice a little bit more as an artist, I got into people like Sarah McLachlan and Eva Cassidy, and more like people that interpreted, music in a slightly different way than mainstream. So I feel like I sort of learned how to sing from some of those people in a way. And I studied jazz and blues vocals at the ANU in Canberra when I was kind of in year 11, 12, so probably 16, 17. Which, although I hated it because I was not a jazz or blues, I never grew up listening to it. It was jazz or classical, you could choose.
Right.
So I thought jazz sounds cooler, so I'll go do jazz. And then I found out that there was this thing called scatting, and there was this thing, all these improvisations and modes and things about music that I'd never thought of before. I just love to sing. So it educated me as well in, that was tough, being a, I guess, high school age student going, okay, now scat, scooter papa. I was like, I don't want to. I want to sing the words.
I'm still at school. Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. What if I say a weird sound? What if it sounds weird? So I think it kind of helped me to get out of my comfort zone a little, as much as I kind of just was so painful through some of that time. Having to. It was a good thing because it helped me to kind of explore my voice and be not so scared about making strange noises, which is really what we do as singers all the time. That's what I tell my vocal students. I'm like, just get used to making weird noises because that's what you're going to be doing.
But did that experience, that educational experience, have an impact on how you perform live? So do you find that you actually will improvise when you perform?
Yeah, I do a lot. I do a lot, and I think that that really helped. That experience kind of really helped me with that. And yeah, my poor band, they're always like, "What's she gonna do next?" Because we're going to this. Hang on a minute. But it's good. Keeps everyone on their toes.
Sorry, I was going to say, and that you are like Becky Cole, with whom you shared a vocal on Angel on the album, because Becky too likes to go off piste on her songs, having seen her live. Yes.
Oh, she's magnificent. She is just brilliant. I love Beck, and getting to know her over the years. And as you say, we did the song Angel together, and that came about because we actually had the opportunity to go to perform for the troops in the Middle East in 05-06. Defence asked us both, along with Angry Anderson and Little Paddy.
Wow. What a lineup.
Real motley crew. Yeah, it was very, very interesting sharing, flying in a Black Hawk with Angry Anderson, Little Paddy, Becky Cole. Thinking, I'm going to die. This is really crazy.
Multiple generations of Australian music will be wiped out in one fell swoop. Yes.
And them all going, you'll be right. But yeah, it was wonderful getting to know her, through that experience, and we became really good mates from that. And about a year on after that, we were both on a Christmas Carols event together in Canberra at the War Memorial, and it was, thousands of people on the hill, and it was just magnificent. And they'd asked if I could sing Angel. Like, it's not really a Christmas song, but sure. It's about angels. And about halfway through the song, Beck came out. She grabbed a microphone and came out and started singing that beautiful low harmony. And it was just like, everyone was gasping, goosebumps. It was a really magical moment. I actually found the video for somebody, in the audience with their camera back then. The other day had filmed, and it was just, it was so special to have that moment with her. And I remember thinking I'd love to recreate that one day. But I was sort of in a bit of a different space, doing more contemporary music at that time. And but yeah, it was beautiful to actually have that opportunity to, I guess, recreate that, that moment. A couple of years ago, and it's I love that it's on my album. It's a really special moment.
Yeah. Well, speaking of recreating moments, you will be recreating that album live. You are going on tour finally to New South Wales, Victoria, the ACT and Queensland. I'm wondering, in all the reorganising of the tour, did you have to change venues, or were you able to stick with your original venues?
There was just the one venue that I wasn't able to make work, which was at Queensland. I was going to be playing at Black Bear Lodge. That's now moved to Johnny Ringo's. And, and we've actually now made it like a lunchtime event it's on the Sunday, the 13th of March. And that's actually going to be a lunchtime show. I've got Nat Pearson and Hayley Marsden on as well. And they just said, just have the room for the whole day, make it an awesome day. And we don't normally have things on a Sunday, so just take the room and go for it. So I'm really, really excited to have that one, that show. I've never played sort of my own headline show in Queensland. I've done festivals, lots of festivals. Most of the festivals I've done are in Queensland, but to have my own show there, so I'm excited. I'm playing there and Toowoomba in Queensland. And it all sort of kicks off really, really soon. So I'm it's crazy to think. I kind of had to pinch myself at the beginning of this week. Oh my gosh, I'm going on tour. It's actually happening. Are you sure it's not going to reach it? No, it's not going to. Oh my gosh, this is happening. I've called all the venues. Are we sure? Are we sure? Yeah. And they're all going, unless the walls fall down or the ground falls down from below us, the shows are going ahead. So there's no doubt that any of these shows are going to happen.
Fantastic.
Which is fantastic from that perspective. It's I'm really excited. The band are pumped, and it's going to be amazing. We've had one chance to play this album live at the Country Rocks Festival down in Canberra, and it was the most amazing amazing experience, and I had such wonderful feedback from the crowd and they you know the festival organizers, and so I'm beside myself thinking how these shows are gonna go. It's really awesome.
Well, now you mentioned Hayley and Natalie as your support for the Brisbane show, but in looking at the run of shows, I think you have a different support pretty much every venue, which is lovely because it gives artists, I'm imagining, who are from that area a chance to play with you, but administratively a lot of extra work instead of just picking one.
It's fun.
So are these all artists that you know personally, or people whose work you happen to have heard?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I did really want to try to find artists that were from those particular areas so that, you know, I could help showcase their work as well. And so I went hunting for people that I loved in those areas, and some of them I just knew already were. When I play here, you will definitely be, if you will, I would love to have you. So it's a real mix of artists too, and you know, different sort of styles within the country genre, but also outside. My Canberra show, I've got a wonderful friend, artist. Her name's Amber Nichols. She was on The Voice, but she goes under the name Liv Lee, and she does kind of electronic sort of indie singer-songwritery style music, which is really, I love her style of music, and her voice is just beautiful. So it's going to be lovely to have her, and you know, we've got Lachlan Bryan, you know, be making an appearance down in Melbourne. We've just added Emily Hatton to that show as well, which is really cool. So I've just tried to pick people that were sort of from that area that I know. I think my supporters will love hearing their music as well, and so it is administratively challenging. Have I told them what time the sound check is? But it's the same. It's with all the shows. I've just got lots of Google Docs and worksheets and.
Well, yes, one thing I've learned in this interview is that you are not afraid of doing things that involve organisation, learning new skills. So the Google Docs sound like they're just nothing compared with everything else you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my saving grace is like the Google Drive system. I can get it anywhere.
So you're obviously feeling match fit, even though it's been a while since tour. I would imagine you're always ready to go with that, because I imagine you practice singing a lot.
I do. Because I do some vocal lessons and that sort of stuff. I'm always doing my vocal exercises. I'm a big vocal exercise and warm-up person, so it's done me well over the years as like a routine, just leading into doing shows, as just something to get me into the zone, but also just, you know, it's part of keeping your voice healthy. And I guess you wouldn't, if you were a runner, you wouldn't just go out and do a sprint. You'd warm up first. So that's, you know, what I always say to people. But I am feeling ready, and it's, you know, I think through the lockdowns and everything else, I kind of tried to stay online and doing my weekly shows, practicing in front of people, practicing in public, as I like to call it, which helped me, I guess, stay sort of, stay match fit, as you said. So but I guess that first, you know, in November, getting together with the band and playing the songs that first time all together as a unit. You know, we played them separately for our little pieces for the album launch, but actually it all coming together, it was like, wow, I'm so excited. These songs are, you know, I mean, they are meant to be played live, and it's just going to be, I'm very excited.
Well, I'm excited too. I'm coming to a Sydney show. And so for my last question, I'll just mention, well, it's not so much a question as a mention. You are ending the tour, at least the current run, in Tamworth, because Tamworth has been rescheduled.
Yes.
And you're co-headlining with Christy Lamb at West's. So that'll be a big show. You must be excited about that, because that's a slightly different format with the co-headline.
Yeah, so that's on the Thursday, 4:30 at West Diggers, and it is cool, and we were all prepared to go ahead with this show come January. But so we have some really cool duets, and it is quite different. You know, I hate to say it, I'm a bit of a control freak. So I'm the only child, you know, used to kind of planning my own things out, But I'm really lucky because Christy is a super organized artist as well. Like, she's probably one of the most, you know, other super organized artists that I know out there. So, because a lot of us creative folk can be a bit lofty and I don't know, you know. But she's very organized as well. So we have prepared a really, really awesome show, and yeah, we're all ready to do it. So bring on April.
Yeah, I think the audience will be ready wherever you're playing. I know I certainly am. Can't wait to see you play live. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you so much. So it's been great chatting with you too. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. See ya.